Aloha and welcome back to another video. This is the next Batman, issue 3, and I actually have so much to show this week that I'm actually going to be breaking it up into two parts. The stuff that I talked about last week that I was getting The Tick haul, featuring a lot of stuff from the Tick series and spin-off series from, stuff that's related to the Tick in some way. 15 different comics all together, and I'd love to show them off, but that's going to have to be its own long video, a haul video. And I don't know, maybe I'll, talk about the TV show while I'm at it or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but I didn't want to throw it in here because besides this video being way too long if I did, it's already probably going to be long from all the stuff I have to show off. On top of that, it's also just kind of not at all related to what I'm showing off here, so to keep more cohesion, I'm just going to break it up into two separate videos. The next Batman issue 3, man, it's a disappointment overall. I went into the next Batman, the first issue, it wasn't that good. It was below average, it was average around there, but its potential was strong. It threw you into this world of Gotham City with this totalitarian, this totalitarian regime basically that controls Gotham, and you have this new Batman, someone else, not Bruce Wayne, but someone else that's playing as Batman. And who is he? How did he become Batman? How did Gotham get, how did control shift from Gotham, and why are these laws allowed to be the way that they are, and who's controlling all this, and what is Batman going to do, and how is this affecting the day-to-day lives of all these people? There were so many questions that it asked, and issue 2 actually answered a number of those questions, but it asked even more questions. And that would be good if this was a long-running series, but it's not. This is 4 issues, and it actually ties into a series that I didn't know about until I think last week I talked about it. I think that was when I first heard about it. But the next Batman Second Son is a series that's going to go into a mini-series. It's like 10 issues. That's going to go into who this Batman is, who the next Batman is. But don't you think the next Batman should go into who the next Batman is instead of the world itself? I mean, that's fine, but it seems like you should start out with the Batman character and flesh him out before you flesh out this new world. The new world seems like it would take a lot more time. It seems like that would be something that would take 10 issues to fill out. The Magistrate, that's what they're called, that regime that I talked about. And this new version of Gotham, you would think that's what should be 10 issues, not talking about who this Bruce Wayne is. And you would think the 4-issue thing could be who this Bruce Wayne is. I don't know. It seems backwards, and on top of that, 2 asked just as many questions, or asked multiple questions as well. And that's the problem, because if this is only 4 issues, so I knew even then that things might not turn out the way I wanted to, and not enough questions would be answered by the time this was over. And now after reading this, yeah, not enough questions were answered. So much so that it just leaves me bewildered and just kind of frustrated with how everything turned out. Once again, there was so much promise, but ultimately not enough questions were answered, and along with that, the pacing was bad, and the writing was fine, but it wasn't really good. It wasn't what I expected from Batman. And because of all that, I really don't think I can recommend Future State. After the second issue, I was cautiously optimistic, but with this third issue, it just doesn't seem worth it. I won't be picking up the 4th issue, I don't think. I might even be selling these off later on. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. I don't really think it's worth it. And these next 2 stories, as a matter of fact, actually continue the 2 stories that were in the next Batman issue 1, and I didn't like them very much then. They didn't, The Outsiders is what you're looking at right now, and they didn't make things very reader friendly at all, and they were well written enough, and the art was, in certain aspects, the art was kind of sloppy, felt kind of rushed, but in other aspects, I liked some of the colors, I liked some of the, electric designs there, and some of the different effects and, panning shots like you see here with, a spread there where it shows, it's 2 pages that are one long image. I like that, but overall, it's hard to care about the outsiders when you don't know who the outsiders are, and for someone that follows, who knew who the outsiders were before going in, and someone that knows a lot about DC, this may have been quite enjoyable for them. And I understand that, right? The art's not bad at all. There's certain aspects of the art I like, certain aspects of the writing that aren't bad at all. But for a newcomer, it's like me personally, my personal feeling is that it just wasn't good for a newcomer at all. They didn't introduce anything, and there was so much going on, so many different characters, so many interactions, so many different alliances, and things going on between different characters. It just was so hard to follow. And I'm used to older comics where if you didn't know exactly what was going on, there'd be a little text box for your convenience in the top right or bottom left or something that would explain, oh, these two people are in this relationship, or these two people are friends, or this person first appeared in this and is this person. And also the way things were written, they were also written in a way where you can tell a complex story. You can tell a story with nuance while also still allowing newcomers to be able to understand what's going on. And this was so far in the opposite direction. I know it's not the 80s anymore. I know that's not done as often as it should be, or isn't done that often in this industry anymore, but it certainly should be. You can tell complex stories and nuanced stories while still allowing newcomers to understand what's going on. And it was just too much. Too much was going on. It moved too fast of a pace, and I understand that they had to cram it or I understand that they crammed it into two different issues. The next Batman issue 1 and the next Batman issue 3 are the two issues that contain both stories of part 1 and part 2 of The Outsiders. But if they couldn't have fit everything in, and they couldn't have explained things well within 2 issues, it shouldn't have been within 2 issues. It should have been its own series, or it should have been something else. And that makes me wonder, did they not have confidence in their work to have it be on their own? Was it time restraints? I don't know. I don't know. If you like it, that's great. I bet people would if you understood what was going on and you followed The Outsiders and were a fan of them, right? It seems, like I said, it was competent enough, but it just didn't do a good job at introducing things, and neither did Arkham Knights. Arkham Knights did a better job. It was more enjoyable for me than the second story. It still wasn't great, but it was decent enough for what it was. It was cool seeing some more of the characters in this, because this is the same as the last story in the sense that this is the second part of a 2-part story. The first part was in issue 1, and issue 3 here finishes off the story of the Arkham Knights. And once again, things were too confusing. There were too many characters, so it was just kind of a mess if you didn't know what was going on. But it wasn't the worst. It was, I don't want to say it was a hot mess, but it was enjoyable for what it was in certain aspects. I mean, it wasn't great or anything, but decent enough. And this character here I talked about before, I liked him. He's in constant agonizing pain. His skin is like burning and sizzling. And because of his kind of mutant, almost, X-Men mutant kind of condition that he has. And he actually later on, which is, he goes through it, and he's kind of the focal point of some panels, and he even eventually gives up, and I don't want to say commits suicide, but he kind of doesn't want to go on and lets himself die in a line of fire, and that was really sad to see. And I forget if they're able to bring him back. I think they leave it on a cliffhanger because they're doing an operation on him up there. But anyways, and once again, not bad, not great. I don't like the art that well either. I don't know. I think it was probably a little bit better than The Outsiders, but it wasn't great either. It's colorful. It's certainly more colorful, and there's some cool line work here. I like this panel a lot, but certain other panels are a bit muddy. And even though it's colorful, it seems like in terms of detail and kind of wowing the reader, it doesn't really do that at all. And that's okay. It doesn't have to, but I'm just kind of adding some critiques, just telling you what I think, and that's what I thought. So, moving on to the Swamp Thing, I showed this off last week, and I got a chance to read it, and it was different than I expected, but this was actually kind of, this is quite positive, I guess, in comparison to the next Batman issue 3 that I read beforehand. This wasn't like what I expected at all. I expected this to be like horror-esque, kind of like a monster movie mixed with more humanity, kind of like, some kind of like Frankenstein kind of story. It wasn't at all. And granted, I don't know, I don't know much about Swamp Thing at all. I mean, I read the solicitations. I read a few people talk about this issue and about Swamp Thing to begin with, and then I just kind of forgot about it. Found the issue in my local comic book shop, my LCS, and decided to pick it up. And yeah, it was nothing like what I expected, but it was still good. It wasn't great. It wasn't like what I expected, and I think that really was the reason why I kind of had I ended with a weird taste in my mouth when I finished reading this, in a sense. It wasn't bad at all, though. There was wasn't exactly as much action as I wanted either, but it was interesting for sure, and I'm excited to read the next issue because it just, there's a lot of questions that it poses, but unlike the next Batman issue 3, its questions don't feel as if they're just kind of pulling you along, stringing you along for a series that's going to come out in a month or two with Second Son. There's a series that's going to come out after this, a mini series that's like, once again, I think 10 or so issues, but it doesn't feel like this only exists to advertise that series or to explain a bunch of dialogue and get you used to the Swamp Thing to throw you into the next one. It feels like it's an extension of that. It feels like this is a piece of a story that will continue onwards in this in the next Swamp Thing series, which I'll want to be covering and showing you guys and reading. But yeah, and it's about this Earth has been destroyed basically by humanity, and the swamp creatures are some of the only beings left around, and there are some humans left, and the main Swamp Thing, along with his like family and other swamp creatures, he leads them all to try and find whatever humans are left. And they kind of don't know why and the audience doesn't exactly know why he's so obsessed with finding humans, but nonetheless he is. And they find a human and they get in a little scuffle, but they're able to talk with him and figure out that there's a settlement of other humans that he came from, and that they were actually looking for him. They were looking for help. And that's where it ends. And I actually picked up the second issue, and I'll show it off right here. I couldn't find it last week, but I'm glad I found it this week, and beautiful cover there. I like both covers of these. Both covers here are great art, as you can see. And I haven't read this, but I hope it's good. And it looks as if, as I was flipping through this, haven't read it, but as I was flipping through this, it looks as if they find the human colony, and they kind of converse with them, and things go down, it looks like. I'm not going to flip too far into it. Don't want to spoil things, but that's about as much as you're probably going to get from solicitations, or you're going to probably save. Yeah, as you saw, I didn't have to flip very many pages to see that, so I hope it's not too much of a spoiler there. Thor issue 11. I picked this up a few weeks ago, actually, but I didn't actually get to cover it because it fell through the cracks, I guess. I forgot about it. And this issue was really good. I'm really liking this Thor series. I mean, once again, out of all the different Marvel series I tried out through Marvel Unlimited, all the different ongoing series, this was one of the best, and that's why I'm following it here and showing it off to you guys. And Donald Blake revisits his past love and tells her what's been going on. And what's interesting is he tells her about his quest to kill all the people that were once Thor, but he doesn't exactly say it, because it's one of those things. Who was it? Alfred Hitchcock, there you go. It's like what he said when he talked about part of building suspense, part of the technique of building suspense is, he called it like a bomb under a table, I think is what it was. But basically, if the audience knows something that the characters don't, and the characters slowly kind of inch closer to the thing that the audience knows, it can help build tension. And he uses that quite a bit in his films. And that's what this reminds me of, because in their conversation between Donald Blake and his love interest, Janet Foster, and and that's what it's like, right? The way he words it, you know that he's telling her basically that he's going to go around and he's been killing all the different Thors, but he doesn't really fully let her know that, really. Anyway, sorry about that cut. Train goes by, and Didn't want to pick that up anyways. So, and then also, besides Thor being stuck in an alternative dimension, the pocket dimension that Donald Blake was actually stuck in originally, he was put in there by Odin. He also sent different Asgard residents there to a different dimension as well, as you can see here. And what's cool is that besides just being powerful as he is, he's also able to take the energy from his different opponents and people that he faces. So it's almost like, or it is, the longer it takes for Thor to stop Donald Blake, the more powerful he gets. So that's kind of like, it puts a ticking time clock to this whole thing. And he then goes on his quest to continue finding the different Thors. But one thing that's interesting is that Jane Foster was also Thor at one point, and he hears that she tells him that, and he's worried and conflicted there because he doesn't want to kill his his love or someone that he used to love, but he also doesn't want to. He originally set out on this quest, and he's mad with power. So it's kind of the audience or the readers, obviously including me, obviously wonder whether he's going to go through with his what's more important, his love or his power, his love for power. So he's kind of stuck between those two, rock and a hard place, and it kind of makes me wonder, how crazy is he, right? Is there still a bit of humanity left in him? So, and then it ends with a pretty crazy cliffhanger, as you can see here. It won't really make sense if you don't know stuff about Thor, but if you do, it will make sense. And yeah. And next up, I picked up a bunch of issues of Daredevil here. I'm just going to flip through them real fast. This is issue 3, and I got to do a video on these. I got to show, I wanted to show these off because I picked these up, but I got to do reviews of these. So I keep getting new, I don't know when it's going to be. But it's going to be sometime, and it's like the longer I wait, just like Donald Blake growing in power. The longer it takes for Thor to kill Donald Blake, the more powerful he becomes. Well, the longer I take on doing this video, the more I have to actually cover. But yeah, and how would you guys want to see this series? Here's issue 6 here. Would you want me to just cover issue by issue? What about story arc, right? I could do all the issues in No Devils, Only God, and I could do all the issues in that story arc, or I could just do like the first 10 issues, or I don't exactly know. So tell me in the comments below how you would, what you'd want to see in that regard. And yeah. Got a few more issues here to show. It's just a really great series overall. Highly recommend it. Don't wait for me to review it. Just start reading it. It's great. You could give it a shot. Once again, it's like I'm being paid here. I keep advertising Marvel Unlimited, keep talking about, wow, fantastic, beautiful, stunning advertisement there. That's something great about single issues, their advertisements. I keep advertising Marvel Unlimited here, but yeah, if you want to try this out, drop the $10. I'd recommend doing that and going on Marvel Unlimited. You can try out so many different things, and try out a bunch of different ongoing series and see what you like. And this stuck out to me. It's fantastic, man. You got Wilson Fisk and or the Kingpin, and he's mayor. And you follow him and his kind of quest to kind of go beyond being just a kingpin and figuring out what he wants to do with his life, kind of having a midlife crisis. And his new kind of quest that he's on is to stretch to international waters and kind of stretch his create a drug trade that stretches beyond just Hell's Kitchen. Next up, we have issue 9. So yeah, this series is just fantastic, and this scene is really cool where Matt Murdock is talking with one of his friends about if he believes in God, and Matt is kind of having an existential crisis and whether he should actually be Daredevil or not because of different events that happened earlier on in the series, and whether he's just living a life of sin. exactly what he should do with the gifts that he was given and such. And very powerful scene, seeing seeing different sides of the whole religion argument, but kind of tying it back to Matt Murdock's history, tying it back to who Daredevil is, and kind of using what his friend said to kind of guide him. It was a cool scene for sure. And yeah, I'm not going to show very much more. I got one more issue here, issue 11. Earlier on in the series, Daredevil was kind of being reckless, and Spider-Man came in and told him that, you either have to control yourself and continue being Daredevil, but get under control basically, and get your life sorted out, or stop being Daredevil because you're hurting people and bad things are going to happen. And Spider-Man says that otherwise he'll have to get involved. So you can tell by the cover that things are going to go down. Spider-Man's going to be involved somehow. Great series. You got to start reading it. Why aren't you reading it? Stop watching this video and read it, especially because it's over. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Always tell me what you liked, tell me what you don't like, what you've been reading, all that stuff in the comments below, and thank you so much. See you guys in the next one. More videos coming soon. I always say that, but it's true. 2 videos a week is what I'm trying to shoot for. And yeah, see ya. Aloha.